I was at the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong people.
In 1976, Sonia Sunny Jacobs was 28. The self-proclaimed young hippie was travelling with her boyfriend Jesse Tefero in a green Chevrolet Camaro, driven by a friend of Tefero's, Walter Rhodes. The car was stopped on Interstate 95 by Florida Highway Patrol Trooper Philip Black. With Trooper Black was Donald Irwin, a visiting Canadian constable. When Black called in to stop, he was told over the radio that Rhodes had criminal convictions, and in an instant, gunfire broke out. Both Trooper Black and Constable Irwin were killed, and the group made a getaway in Black's stolen police car, driven by Rhodes. A little later, another car was stolen and its owner taken hostage, before that car crashed, trying to avoid a police checkpoint. Sunny Jacobs, Tefero and Rhodes were all arrested and charged with the murder of the two policemen. Sunny and Tefero claimed that Rhodes had done the shooting, and that they had no choice but to flee with him. Two eyewitnesses backed up this version of events, as did the physical evidence that found gunshot residue on Rhodes' hands and Tefero's, who claimed Rhodes handed him the gun while driving. Walter Rhodes, however, turned witness on the promise of a lesser charge and testified against Tefero and Jacobs. Rhodes was given a life sentence, but Tefero and Jacobs were sentenced to death. In Jacobs' case, the jury had recommended life in prison, but the judge, Daniel Maximum Dan Fulch, sentenced her to death nonetheless. Sunny Jacobs spent 5 years in solitary confinement. After a series of appeals around a failed polygraph by Rhodes and reports he had confessed to a prison guards, Jacobs had her sentence commuted to life in prison in 1981. In 1986, a jailhouse informant, Brenda Isham, who had told the original trial that Jacobs had confessed to her, admitted she had lied under pressure from the state attorney. On May 4th, 1990, Tefero was put to death in the electric chair. His execution had to be halted 3 times when his head started to smoke. He was seen to be breathing and moving during these stoppages. At around the same time, filmmaker Mickey Diekoff, a childhood friend of Jacobs, made contact with her and started campaigning on her behalf, convinced of her innocence. Diekoff's attention and research led to the Board state attorney offering to release Jacobs if she pleaded to a lesser charge while admitting no guilt. Seen by many as a move to avoid an embarrassing retrial, Jacobs accepted the deal and was released from prison. Diekoff's movie In the Blink of an Eye was released by ABC Networks in the United States in 1996 as a movie of the week. In 2000, after the botched execution of Tadero and others, Florida abandoned its use of the electric chair for the more humane lethal injection. Jacobs campaigned against the death penalty after her release, and in 1998, she attended an event in Galway with Amnesty International where she met Peter Pringle. Pringle himself had been convicted and jailed for the murder of 2 members of An Garda Síochána after a raid in Ballahadreen in 1980. He served 15 years in prison before the courts quashed his conviction. The pair married in New York in 2012 and continued to campaign together against capital punishment and the death penalty.
Ever since I've been released, I've been fighting against the death penalty because in general I believe it's wrong, but you can't undo this. If you take someone's life, you can't give it back if you find out there was a mistake. And there's no compensation for that.